Phil and Ekwoma asked me, they were like, I noticed that you didn't add eggs to the ingredients. Is it optional? Ekwoma said no eggs. Now, if you look at my ingredients and measurement videos on meat pie recipe, you discover that I did not add eggs. And I'm going to be showing you in practical in this video why you don't need to add eggs or why eggs are not compulsory to your meat pie dough. Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time of stopping by, you're so welcome. Consider subscribing, do like and share. Now we are going to be making 20 pieces of meat pie, so we are using 1 kg of flour. I divided my flour into 2 equal bowls, so that's why you have 500 gram of flour in each bowls. I'm adding 300 gram of butter to each of the 500 gram of flour. If you have not seen my ingredients and measurement video, to check it out, I'm going to put the video at the end screen. Mix your butter together after adding 1 tablespoon of baking powder each. Go on out adding 2 tablespoons of cold water. Now this is me mixing my butter into the bowl. Now your butter should be cold and your water should be cold, but even if your butter is not cold, make sure it's hard enough. You can either use margarine, but if you want to get that flaky meat pie recipe, go for butter. You will get a more flaky texture. Now I'm adding 2 tablespoons of water. In my ingredients and measurement video, I suggested that you add 2 tablespoons of cold water, but for this recipe, I use between 2 to 3 tablespoons of cold water, depending on your flour. So depending on your flour type, add in your cold water in tablespoons. Do not pour it like that into your meat pie dough. If not, you're going to spoil your dough and your dough will have too much water in it. It's not going to come out being flaky. Now when mixing your dough, these are you mix it. You get your dough together gradually until it forms a round ball. You do not knead your dough because kneading your dough will cause your dough to form gluten. Gluten is what gives your dough that stretchy texture. It is okay if you are using it for bread or for donuts, but for meat pie, you do not want your dough to be stretchy. You want it to be flaky. Now I'm going to cover my dough in my kitchen wrap and keep them in the fridge for 30 minutes. After wrapping them and keeping them in the fridge, I'm going to go on now to make my meat pie filling. For my meat pie filling, I will be using 1 kg of your beef. Now if you do not have up to 1 kg, you can use like 750 gram. I'm going to put a link of the video in the description box where I showed 3 ways to make your meat pie filling, so you can check it out in case you do not have shredded beef or you want to use the regular beef. Cover your beef after adding it into your onions and your vegetable oil. Once you no longer see the red color, go on out to add in your spices. After adding in your spices, add in your shredded vegetables. That's your Irish potato, your carrot, your green and red bell peppers, and your spring onions. The red bell peppers is actually not compulsory, but please do not skip your green red pepper and your spring onions. It adds flavor to your meat pie filling. Add in your meat stock, about a cup of your meat stock and a little bit of water. Cover and you allow your filling to simmer for 5 minutes. Prepare your slurry by adding 2 tablespoons of corn flour to 4 tablespoons of water, ordinary water. Once it is fully dissolved, go on out adding more curry to your meat pie filling to give it color. Add in more seasoning, salt and pepper flakes to taste. At this point, when you are adding your seasoning, just taste along. Since you are making a large batch, you do not want to add too much salt, too much pepper or too much seasoning, so just taste along. Now I added the remaining of my vegetable and just a tablespoon of butter, then your slurry. Your butter takes your meat pie filling to another level. Do not skip it. Add in your slurry, cover and allow it to simmer for like 3 or 4 more minutes, and this is what you get at the end of the day. It is moist, it is fluffy, and of course it looks rich. Now let's go to the main process. I just took out my dough out of the fridge. I'm going to pick one portion of the dough and return the rest of the dough back to the fridge. At this stage, you're going to divide your dough into different portions weighing between 100 gram to 120 grams. If you're using maybe the medium size cutter, 100 gram is enough, but because I'm using the biggest size cutter, I use 120 gram. This recipe gives you exactly 20 pieces of your large size meat pie. If you haven't checked out my ingredients and measurement video for your meat pie recipe, to check it out, and this video will make so much sense to you after watching that video. Now after dividing them, they all weigh 120 gram each. Even if it's only 3 120 gram dough you can get, don't worry. As you make your meat pie recipe, the excess dough that comes from sealing, you can add it to remaining dough to get your meat pie up to 20 pieces. Now after rolling, this is my meat pie sealer or cutter. I like sprinkling a little bit of flour at the edge. This makes it easy to steal and your dough won't get stuck to the meat pie cutter while sealing. Now your dough is flaky and fragile, so I'm going to pick it up this way by wrapping it around my rolling pin. I'm picking it up gently because I do not want it to break. The flakiness of the dough can cause it to break when you don't handle it gently. I'm going to place it like so on my meat pie cutter. You can see the way I'm doing it. Go on now to adjust it to make sure it covers all the sides of my meat pie cutter, after which I'm going to brush with egg wash around the edges. Brushing with egg wash is very important, especially if you're making this kind of recipe, your extra flaky meat pie recipe, because if you do not brush with egg wash, sealing will be a challenge. When you seal, it won't close. This is because your meat pie is flaky, and because you've dusted with flour, it will be difficult for it to seal. But once you've brushed with egg wash, it makes it easy. Add in your filling. I usually advise that you measure your filling before you add it to your meat pie recipe. This is because you want the filling to be even in all your meat pie. Your meat pies, so that they will look the same. One won't be looking bigger than the other. So you can see I took out the excess dough. You can see how neatly it's sealed, and because of the flour, you can see it came out beautifully. I'm going to repeat the process until I'm done exhausting my dough, after which I'm going to go on now to brush my meat pie with egg yolk. Just egg yolk. 2 egg yolk will be enough for 20 pieces. I'm going to use a fork just to create a hole at the top of the meat pie to give it space to breathe. Bake at 180 degrees Celsius or 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 to 30 minutes. And this is what we get at the end of the day, guys. Can you see how this meat pie looks? See, the camera isn't doing justice here. This is me arranging my meat pie neatly in my packaging pack or my mini carton. This is how you arrange your meat pie in a way that it does not break after it has cooled down, and to make it look yummy. So we're going to pick a pack and check how it looks. God, this is meat pie recipe, guys. See, thumbs up this video, do like and share. Comment and tell me what you think about this recipe. Can you see how flaky it looks? So you can see you really do not need to add egg to your meat pie dough to get an extra flaky meat pie recipe. Following this recipe step by step, you will get this yummy looking meat pie recipe at the end of the day. I hope I've been able to convince you, and not to convince you, and not to confuse you rather, that adding eggs to your meat pie dough is not compulsory. See you in my next one. God bless you.